Okay, so now I've shown you guys the other day how to install XAMPP, how to download it. Once you download it, click on it, just say next, next, next. It's a very easy process. If you need any help, you can take help from your fellow students who have already installed it. Okay, so I suppose Nadeem, Vijay, and Spurti have installed the software already. So you guys can go ahead on. You have done. Even Praveen has done it. So go to our Facebook group. Okay, our Facebook group. You guys know. Do join the Facebook group so that we all keep in touch for questions. Right now we don't have any dedicated solution for questions and answers. So until that goes live, please do use Facebook group for doing so. Right, and yeah, just join the group, and if someone posts a question, let's use it. My FB ID, go to the group, you'll find me. Go to the group. Okay, I'll approve her. Okay, you'll find her. My name is Sagar. Okay, you'll find my profile in Facebook. So go ahead. Okay, so now what you're supposed to do, download XAMPP or WAMP or LAMP or MAMP. Okay, whatever it is, whatever you have downloaded, you just download it. So for LAMP it's a different setting, for WAMP it's a different. For WAMP and XAMPP I can show you guys because I'm using a Windows machine here. For MAMP and LAMP it's a different setting overall together. It is htdocs, showing page not available. Okay, it's groups, facebook.com/groups. Oops. Okay, it's groups I suppose. So download XAMPP. It's htdocs in Windows machine, whereas you have XAMPP already. Great. Yeah, I'm just saying to those guys who did not install XAMPP already. Okay, so htdocs in WAMP in Windows is www in LAMP and MAMP. Okay, almost LAMP and MAMP have the same settings. Okay, so in here we call it as Apache. Okay, the Apache folder, but I guess in our, what you say, in LAMP it is Httpd. So there are slight differences. If you explore, you'll get to know. Okay, if you have any problem, you can always ping me back for questions. But here I'm using a Windows machine, so you'll be seeing only Windows settings over here. Alright, so once you download the XAMPP, okay, it will ask you where do you want me to install XAMPP. So you can install in C drive, you can install in D drive, you can install in any drive. Okay, it doesn't matter. It asks you where do you want to install this. Okay, for me, for my case, I have installed in the C drive. Mine is Windows. Okay, C drive. I already have D and E drives too, but I did not install it in those drives. But C drive I have installed. So I'm gonna just show you guys what really happens over there. So let me share my screen. Let me know if there are any problems in looking at my screen. Okay, so can you guys see my screen? Yes, can you see the screen? Okay, anyone else have a problem? Voice, streaming, slow streaming, any problems? You can talk to me. There's nothing. No. Okay, cool. Alright, so yeah, so here you see, I mean, I've installed XAMPP. I have tons of information in there, so I did not install it again. I could have installed it in D drive and E drive, but I wanted you guys to explore that. Alright, so go inside. You'll find these files inside it, in which let's look into the Apache. So what XAMPP install? So you might have been looking into this also. Okay, this is called control panel. Okay, this is called control panel. So here you'll find to start Apache and MySQL. Okay, when you start Apache, okay, the default PHP engine is also on. Okay, Apache is the web server in our case, and MySQL is the database server. So it's called control panel. You can see it here, it's here also. So Apache is our web server. So let's go ahead and see inside the Apache folder. Now conf is all configuration files, error is the error recording, logs is all logs, and these are modules, okay, which I'll be showing now. And manual, this is for help if you need any help in Apache. Okay, this is install, we don't really care about that, right? And this is a small document which says like what is Apache, what are the contributors. Okay, so we don't want that. So now what we really need here, we really need only two folders here. One is the conf and one is the logs. You guys might be hearing about this particular file, htaccess. .htaccess. Okay, remember this while you're doing programs, while you're hosting it on a web server, you might be needing .htaccess. So to write .htaccess file, you should have a very good command on Apache web server. So if you don't have that command, of course you can Google it, you can write that, but you should know the syntax of it. You should know which line does what. Alright, it's very important that .htaccess file should be hidden. Okay, so the web server defaultly hides the file, nobody has to look at, because this is your configuration file on the web server. Apart from this configuration httpd.conf file, you will be having a .htaccess file as a supporting configuration file. Okay, so something like quick configuration, you can put that in htaccess file and you can put that in your web server. Okay, remember this point, you will be needing this htaccess file when you are working by yourself. Right, so yeah, leaving that apart, here the hash symbol, you see this hash, you guys can see that, right? Hash symbol, that means it's a comment. It won't read, the browser won't read the hash, the lines after hash. Now you see here there is no hash, so that means it reads this empty line. And let's come back here, and you see here there is no hash. Right, so what does it say? Server root. The top of the directory tree under which the server's configuration error and log files are kept. So if they have given default it as Apache, so all your error log files are in Apache. If you change the name of this, then it will create something over there and you can start, everything will be saved in that particular file. So but don't ever touch this, let that be. Right, and the next important is this. So if any time you get an error here like this saying, for instance, say if your Apache don't start, let's say Apache will not start, right? Apache will not start and says port blocked. Okay, if it says port blocked, then you come here, okay, you come here and change this port number 80. Suppose 80 is a port number, right? Change it to 81, 82, 83. You can change it from 80, 81, 82, 83 and something above 1500, I suppose. I don't know the exact number, but these are the available port numbers for Apache web server. So you can use that port numbers if you have a problem in starting Apache web server. So in control panel you see this error. If you can see here, Apache shut down unexpectedly. This may be due to a blocked port. If you find this kind of error, immediately try to do two things. One, close that program which is using that port number, or come here, change the port number. Alright, so that's one important thing you have to keep in mind. And the next is and look at this, we have just seen the modules folder, right? So there are the basic modules for the Apache. I mean, we don't have to really look into these modules until there is an error. Once I got an error with mod_data.so. So sometimes some things are commented out here, some things are there. So dependency. It all depends upon what you really need. The modules, and then here server name. So your server name is localhost. Remember, localhost. So what is this localhost actually? Localhost, anyone has an idea what is localhost? So you see this your domain names, right? Let's say for instance tutoslive.com is a domain name. That's my server name too, right? Everything after that, like you hit www.tutoslive.com, and if you want to log in, it's /login. If you want to register, it's /register. Students /students. So my server name is tutoslive.com. Like such, in my current system, in this machine where I have installed XAMPP, okay, the server name is localhost. Okay, this is optional because it's a port number. Apache knows the port number. Sometimes in Linux and what you call Mac machines or some Windows machines, it won't work unless until you give the port number, this part. Or in my current version, this is fine for me. You guys have any problem, you can ask me. Yeah, you guys understand? So what is the need of this particular class? I'll tell you what happens tomorrow. You are a fresher. It doesn't matter for you the configuration files. But once you go to that level, you know, a 1 year or 1.5 year experience, it would be better for you guys. Even if you're going for interviews now, some people may ask, like, you know, hey, do you know about Apache configuration? Then you should say, yes, I know. So what do you know about Apache configuration? Localhost. Yeah, localhost is a server name. I mean, it's just a name, like your domain name. See, server name, it says this can be often be determined automatically, but review recommend to specify to prevent problems during startup. If your host doesn't have a registered DNS name, enter its IP address here. So it's just a domain name. Assume it to be a domain name. Okay, nothing to worry about it. I'll show you how that really works. All right, and now come here. This is a very important thing. Now, document root. You remember when we were talking about web architecture, I told you there's an ABC folder. You remember? There's an ABC folder. Every time the web server will root to that ABC folder, right? You guys remember that? So that ABC folder on the web server, on the server is htdocs. So htdocs is where we have to keep all our PHP files or HTML files on the server. Okay, it's htdocs here in the local system. When you go to the Linux machines, okay, they usually call it as public_html. Even in Amazon AWS, it's www folder. But in this machine, in this installation, it's htdocs. All right. So if you guys are interested in setting up your own domain names, want a hosting, then I can help you out, guys. I can help you out with installation. I can help you out with setting up, right? So make sure you just buy a domain name so that I can help you out with hosting and stuff like that. Then you will get to know what is what. Right? Then yeah, there is another important thing. You can see here directory index. Directory index is that what you want to see when you hit a folder. This again we'll see. Just remember what I am trying to say here. We'll always see a example in every case of this configuration. Alright. So remember, directory index sets the file that Apache will serve if a directory is requested. Alright. So index.php is a default file which the web server will pick it up. Index.php, index.pl, fpl, asp, shtml, html, default.php, home.php. So if you give these names to your files inside your folder, it will pick these files as soon as you hit the directory, which I'll show you just in a couple of minutes. I'll be showing that. Alright, and look at here. .htaccess. I told you, right? You will be learning about .htaccess. Maybe not in this course. I'll take it as a separate course for .htaccess, which is very important as a web developer. Only if you are 3 years experience, then you should know about .htaccess, right? But I'll give you at the very entry level also. No problem with that. We'll see more about .htaccess in the coming classes, right? So error log, errors.log, that is the log file inside logs. And access, this is the name, access log, access.log file. And yeah, most probably that's the only configuration settings we must be looking at. So I'll just repeat it so that you'll get to know. If you want to write it down, just write it down if you want to write it down. Right, so the first is the server root. Where is the server root? If you change the folder name, it will change. Right, then the next is port number. If there's a problem, you can always change the port number. Okay, so listen is a keyword, 8 is a port number. Okay, if you want to change, you have to just change the number over there. Then the next is, okay, the server name, localhost. Server name, your server name will be localhost. Okay, if you already installed, okay, just go ahead and open your Chrome browser or Firefox. Just type localhost and hit enter. Make sure that your Apache is on. You have to start your Apache. Alright, so, and the next next is your document root. Document root is always htdocs in Windows machine, www in Linux and Mac machines. And then yeah, the directory index is index.php. remember this. If you want to change something, you can change here and again save it. Right, then the last one is the error log. You can change this file and you can always log your errors. Now whenever you make a change here, you save it and you have to restart. You have to stop it and then start, or else you won't see the changes. If you want to see the changes happening, you have to restart the Apache server. Okay, different folders here. Okay, we'll talk about htdocs later, and there's a MySQL here, but here what we really need is the PHP folder. Now again here it has logs. Okay, it has logs. This, remember this pair and logs, and the most important of all is, come here, PHP configuration settings. You can see, can you see this file, configuration settings? That is a file. Right click on it, edit with Notepad++. Alright, this is the php.ini file. Okay, .ini is the configuration file for PHP. Alright, so php.ini is the configuration file for PHP. Now let's go into it and see. So even this is self-explanatory. You don't have to go anywhere to look for the php.ini file. Everything is written inside. It's ini stands for initialization. Okay, it's responsible for configuring many of the aspects of PHP's behavior. Okay, so in every development phase or in any website case, there are two things, two environments. One is development, one is production. So can you guys tell me what is development and what is production? Did we discuss this before? What is the differences between development and production? So sometimes production is also called as live. It's a general difference. Okay, we have seen this in jQuery files, right? jQuery.js is a big file, jQuery.min.js is a small file. Min.js file should be used with production, I told. So the meaning here, development is your local, live is your on the server. That's it, simple. So this is local. Local is that you are developing in your local system, like whatever I'm showing right now is my local. Okay, production is your hosting, when you're hosting it. So when you're going live, when somebody else is watching your website, that's called production or live. Now there are two different types of settings for PHP. For development there are different settings, for live there is one more setting. Why? The primary differences is that In production, you're not supposed to show any error on your browser. But for development, you have to look at errors, right? Development is all about tracing bugs, learning from it. But production, you don't want that. If your users look at a bug on the browser, they may feel like this is a buggy website, right? So that's why you're not supposed to show any error on the browser in production. But whereas in development, you can show that because it's only you who is working on that. Am I clear here? Production and development. Production is your live website. You're not supposed to show any error on your live websites. Development is your local. Always keep that. Some people will say another thing here. Development, production, and there will be a middle server which is called testing server or testing phase. So you develop and give it to a tester. Tester will do the testing and give it to live. Right? So there are three phases. So big companies use this. They use three instances. One is called dev. You can also check that. We have a website called dev.tutoslive.com. Okay, that's my development server. dev.tutoslive.com. Okay, you'll find a lot of projects over there. My current projects, previous projects, whatever it is. Okay, I already have a development server over there, and live is like my client's live servers. Okay, fine. Keeping that aside, let's go to our ini file. Now, so again here in Apache, it's hash, right, for commenting out. What is it in PHP? Can you guys spot it out? Can you guys spot it out? What is it to comment in PHP initialization file or PHP configuration file? Semicolon. Fantastic. It's a semicolon. Alright? Whatever which is after semicolon, that's a comment. Semicolon, it's not colon. Yeah. So you can see this is all graph. You can see it here. Okay, it says development and production. You see that? Everything in this configuration file has two values. One is what is development value and what is production value. Okay, so it has everything. You can read this out if you have time after the class. Go ahead and just read it. Now here it starts. After 211 lines, the actual thing starts. PHP engine. You have to always keep this on to run your PHP code. Okay, so this we will discuss later, but the important part here is not here. Okay, give me a second. So yeah, my bad. Okay, here it starts. Maximum execution time is 30 seconds, it says. You can change this value. So what does this mean is that when you hit a code, when you hit a website, a PHP file, okay, the maximum time it takes on each script is 30 seconds. So within 30 seconds, it has to give you the output from the PHP side. Forget about the JavaScript side. JavaScript will always take a lot of time to load JavaScript and images, but PHP script should take only 30 seconds to execute. If not, it will throw an error. You check this out. Okay, I'll show you this error. 30 seconds error, I'll show you. Okay, but remember, you can change this anytime. I mean, if you change this to 1 minute, 2 minutes, sometimes what happens, you have a very heavy file, heavy PHP file, there is a lot of logic, and 30 seconds is not enough. You can increase this to 1 minute, you can increase this to 2 minutes, but never ever increase it more than 1.5 minutes. Okay, if it is more than 1.5 minutes, your users will lose interest. They'll just close it and go to a different website. Right? You got my point? Maximum execution time is only 30 seconds. Right? Next, memory limit. Okay, this is not that important. Okay, here comes the beauty. So yeah, 535, line number 535, error reporting. You see this? This is all error reporting. Okay, what it says here is it has two values. Let me just find it out. So this is very important. You have to keep this in mind, but you won't be changing this. But it says what kind of errors you want on the browser. That's it. E underscore all is like show all errors, warnings, notices. E underscore all and not notices. E underscore all, not notice and not strict. So the default setting is this. Show me all errors, but don't show me the deprecated ones and the strict errors. Okay. For development, it is all. For production, this is the value. Okay. Even it says what should be there. Alright. So here, coming to this part, display errors. So do you want to display the errors on the browser? If it is on, yes. If it is off, no. So this is the key. Production, it is off. As I told you, you don't have to show the errors to the users. But in development, it should be on. So when you go after development, when you go on to your servers, usually servers have their own PHP INI configurations. Okay, they will off that defaultly. They know it. It's not really good to show the errors. But if you are doing your own, like Amazon Web Services, if you guys know about AWS or DigitalOcean or Linode, okay, these are like plain servers where you have to install everything. In this case, you have to configure your own files. Okay. Now, not this one, log errors. This is important. This should be on every time. Now, Monali has asked about the question like what is the maximum length? Okay, 1024 is 1 MB. Okay, so if you put it as 0 is the maximum length. Okay, 1024 is after this it gets reset. Okay, after 1024 it gets reset. Now, ignore repeated errors. Now, if you want to log repeated errors, I don't want to log repeated errors, right? That's the thing over there. Now, another point here is this is the log file where you want to store the PHP logs. Is logs and PHP underscore error underscore log is a file, right? So that's about it. Next is here. Remember this, okay? Just remember, I'll explain you this when we are submitting the forms. Our last class is about submitting the forms. If you guys know about get and post, okay, remember the line number 770 is the line number. Okay, if you want more information, it says go to this URL. This means how much amount of data you want to submit via form. Okay, how much amount of data? The maximum is 8 MB. 8 MB is the maximum size. When you remember, like you are setting your profile pictures, or say you are uploading your resume, or you are uploading pictures. Sometimes it says the maximum size has been reached. Please again upload a lesser size image, right? So that is the post size. So the total size of the post data should be less than 8 MB. It says if you put 0 over there, it will disable the limit and you can upload as much as you can. Alright, so that's that. Remember all these. This class will be recorded and given it to you. Okay, so do watch it another time, not just on the live class. Live class I'm explaining it so that you'll get to have an idea. That's it. Now this, remember this also, this is an interview question. Okay, you have to ask me this again. I may forget this, but you have to keep on asking me. This is a very important interview question. Okay, this is our 8th class. On 8th day I'll be discussing about this PHP include and require. Alright, then the next is here, file uploads. This is to upload your files. Now that one is for post data. You'll be sending your files using post data, but this should be on again to have file uploads. Okay, and where do you want to store the temporary files in file uploads? This is the folder where you store your all temporary all the files temporarily. And this is the file size, that is the post data size. This is the file size. File size is 100 MB. And how many uploads you want to do at a single request? 20 files. If you change anything here, it will get changed over there. If you want to make it 100, it becomes 100. You can upload 100 files at a stretch. All right, then we don't need this. Okay, might be this the socket time, this different like uh, the ajax request and your browser request. We don't really require that. But here, okay, look at this. These are extensions for PHP. If you want to use MySQL, if you want to use MySQL with PHP, you have to enable this. Make sure this is enabled. Obviously, this will be enabled all the times, even this PDO. Okay, don't worry about this. But there is a very important thing when we scroll down here. So here, session. Okay, remember this, we'll be talking about this in sessions. This is advanced PHP. Okay, we do have an advanced PHP class. As soon as the basic PHP is done, in that scenario I'll be explaining you about this configuration, the sessions configuration file. All right, all about sessions. Okay, we'll be discussing about sessions in there. Okay, it's a very important thing. And yeah, that is it. So that's the configuration file, in which the most important one I think is the error reporting. Error reporting is very important. You should always make sure what's the value for production and development. And the other important is the post data sites. It's a very important configuration setting. Okay, if you change that, and the file upload size also is another important configuration setting over there. All right, so yeah, that's about it, I guess. And you can always read this file. Even I get bored when I read this file. Okay, I seriously don't really need this file to be read, but it will be helpful for you guys. Okay, and this is an important question here, interview question, the one the maximum amount of time a script can execute. Okay, what is that? You guys know? You remember? Max execution time, 90, 30, 8 MB execution time. Yeah, 30, right. It's 30 seconds. Alright, that's a very important interview question. People will ask you, like, you should keep this in mind while you're developing a logic. Alright, now that's about the configuration files. Okay, so let's, yes, right, everyone. Yeah, great. So you can see it here, htdocs. Okay, this is the folder, and in here I have all my projects here. These are all my projects here. Okay, so everything here is my project. So if you open your htdocs folder, you will find the same thing. Now if it's a fresh installation, go there, say Control A and just delete it. Okay, go there, Control A and delete it if it's a fresh installation. Alright, so what I have done here is that I have created a dedicated folder for our codes here. This is the folder here. Okay, this is the folder. So it's htdocs, and I made a folder called tt underscore basic php. Tt stands for Tutoslive. Okay, I should made it tl, but tt, that's what I really call it. Now how do you open this? So the first thing you are supposed to do is, like, make sure we don't want MySQL. Okay, here. Okay, so all we need is Apache. Now you have to just start it. If it doesn't start, I told you guys what to do. Go to the configuration, change the port number if it doesn't start. Alright, so start it. And what is our server name? Our server name is localhost. Okay, localhost. Our folder name, tt underscore basic php. Okay, localhost is enough. I mean, IT, as I said, it's optional. So you have to give here the folder name. Okay, tt underscore basic php. Make sure you name them in lowercase letters. Now if I hit this, Okay, there are no files in there, so it just says this is the index of. You remember what is the default file to open? You guys remember this server defaults, the default file? You don't remember it, right? So, fine, no issues. Yeah, anyone remember that? The default file? Index, exactly. Alright, so this is called Sublime Text Editor. Okay, it's free to download. I really love this editor. Okay, it gives a lot of flexibility. You can also download NetBeans for PHP. Okay, so until now we are using Notepad++, right? That's okay, but right now we'll be using, okay, I'll show you Sublime Text. Okay, the other one is NetBeans for PHP, and there is one more called PHP Storm. These are all paid, but NetBeans for PHP is free. Okay, NetBeans for Sublime Text is free. Okay, it's just free. You can also buy this, but they made it free. Okay, just like Tutoslive. All right, so you can download anything. I use Sublime Text here, which I really feel pretty much good to work with. Now here I have opened the folder. How to open folder? Go to file and say open folder. Okay, open folder, then scroll down. This is the problem with this. You can drag and drop also, no issues with that. So here htdocs, go to htdocs, and where is our folder? This is our folder. Double click it and say open. Okay, it opens like this. This is the folder. Now here, let me write a HTML code here. So doc type HTML head body. So inside I say, inside head I write a title. So guys who were not familiar with HTML, go back to our front-end development course. It's free. It's a recorded course. Go there and watch all the files for HTML and CSS. All right, it's there on the front page. Go to Tutoslive.com. You will see the course. It's recorded course, or not, you go to courses and you will find it. All right. So here, this is the first program in PHP class. I'll just say this. Now we say this in htdocs. Here I call this as index.html. Okay, I call this as index.html. Now here h3, this is index.html, and here I'll put a div. This is the default file. Alright, now let's see. I saved it. Let's go here, localhost. Now even before specifying a file, let's see what happens here. You see the HTML file has been opened. You can see it, the title. This is the first program in PHP class. This is just HTML file. Though it's HTML file, it opens index.html as the default file. Okay, you can also type it here, index.html. Okay, still the same output. Now let me write another file here. Okay, what I have to do here is like just say new file. Okay, new file, copy, paste. I'll write this as first.html. We are still not using PHP here. We're not at all writing PHP yet. PHP starts from tomorrow. Okay, this is just to show how htdocs work. So here, this is second program in PHP class. Now this is first.html. You have to type slash first.html to see me. Alright, let's see now. So now here I'll say first.html. Okay, so you have to say first dot slash first dot html. You see here slash first dot html. Okay, this is how the file convention really works. Now if I open a new folder over there, I have to keep the folder name here after this. Okay, so this is how it works. Alright, so I want to see one more. Let me just rename this from index.html. I'll rename this as first of first. Okay, let's just rename it as first of first. Now let's see what happens if I just open this. Now there is no index.html, right? So that's the reason it opened the directory instead of the file. So all you gotta do is like click the first of first file. Okay, you got my point? Index.html is a default file, or index.php even, home.html, default.html, right? So for today's assignment, okay, so I'm gonna show just execute this file as soon as remove everything from htdocs folder. Okay, as soon as you install, remove everything from htdocs folder, everything, make it very plain. If it's first installation, if it's old installation, I suggest you to copy, place it somewhere, take a backup and do that. So try this out. PHP. Okay, we'll see the what is this tomorrow. Okay, I now rename this as index.php. Okay, I named it as index.php. Now here echo php info. Okay,